And those of you watching on television, thank you for joining us as well. We are here this morning because our constituents in York Region are not getting the action that they deserve from their government to resolve the current transit strike. They are not interested in waiting for an end to this dispute any longer. That is why today I will introduce a private member's bill co-sponsored by my colleagues Frank Cleese, MPP for Newmarket Aurora, and Julia Monroe, MPP for York Simcoe, with the goal of getting striking workers back to work, the assignment to facilitate a fair and neutral agreement and deem transit in York Region an essential service. In addition, the goal of this bill is to prevent future disruption from causing the type of personal and economic hardship the strike has caused our constituents to date. The York Region Transit Strike started on October 24th, 2011. Since then, my colleagues and I have called on the parties in this dispute to get back to the negotiating table. Nearly 2 weeks ago, we asked the McGuinty government to enact back-to-work legislation and extend the protection awarded transit in the City of Toronto to York Region. We have also called on our York Region Liberal colleagues, notably Greg Sorbara, Minister Michael Chan, Helena Jasic, and Reza Moridi, to urge their government to take action to end the strike. To date, neither the Liberal MPPs nor the McGuinty government have taken any decisive action to do so, and that lack of action is victimizing our constituents. While the Liberal government has refused to act, individual MPPs do have a free vote on private members' legislation, and I look forward to the support of all the members for ending this transit strike in York Region.
Thank you, Peter. Despite the significant personal and economic hardship that the disruption of this strike has caused to date, it seems there has been no significant progress or any progress really made by the parties to resolve this issue. It has been very frustrating for those of us who have been watching that there has not been more initiative on the part of certainly the employers in this case to come to the table. We have seen certainly some suggestion that the unions were willing to at least have some discussion. We saw their call for an arbitrator. The reality is that there are personal and economic hardships. Seniors can't get to medical appointments, students can't get to their classes, and jobs are being lost. I'd like to read excerpts from a letter that I've received just recently from the Newmarket Chamber of Commerce. It states it is no secret that businesses have faced a rough couple of years as they cope with declining consumer confidence, slowing employment growth, and declining customer demand. York Region's economic engine is its businesses. Now more than ever, we need government to provide the necessary tools to allow them to stay the course through these difficult times. Disruption of the transit service has been devastating to our business and the community at large that depends on it, putting up yet another hurdle as they try to survive in the current economic downturn. It has affected their customers and their employees. York Region businesses, quite rightly, regard these services as essential to their employees and their ability to keep their businesses and the nation's economy working. I share that with you because we experienced in this legislature just a number of months ago, earlier this year, when the government came together and we passed legislation in this House to declare the TTC an essential service. And I submit, as we will be submitting to the government, that the circumstances in York Region are no different than the circumstances in the City of Toronto. Transit services are essential to businesses, to individuals, and you know there are people who do not have the option of reverting to their car. And this is especially the most vulnerable in our communities. And so for many reasons, economic, personal, we believe that it is important that the Premier stay true to the message of the speech from the throne yesterday, and that is that they're committed to work with all members of the House to ensure that we have economic stability and that people in this province have a quality of life with a particular focus on those who are most vulnerable. So we anticipate, based on the messaging that we heard yesterday in the speech from the throne, that the Premier and his members on the government side will support the legislation that my colleague from Thornhill will be introducing later today. Thank you.
I'm pleased to join my colleagues, the MPP for Newmarket Aurora and the MPP for Thornhill, to call on the government to take action to end the York Region transit strike. People in my riding and throughout York Region depend on York Region transit to get to work, to school, to medical appointments, and for many other needs. My constituents feel they are victims. No one is at the table on their behalf, and they want somebody to take action to end this strike. The McGuinty government and the York Region Liberal members refuse to help them, which is why our party has introduced this bill to end the strike. Every day that the McGuinty government allows this strike to continue costs jobs and costs families. 50,000 people are without the transit services they need, and they are waiting for someone to help them. I want to give you an example of the kind of impact that this is having on our communities. The York Catholic District School Board wrote to the transit operators and the union leaders about the effects of the strike on students and parents. The board has tracked an increase in late arrivals and absences in their secondary schools. Parents have had to make alternate arrangements to get their kids to school, and it's getting harder and harder for many. The board's letter states that, quote, the ongoing strike has significantly impacted students' ability to get to school on time. Some students are faced with the reality of not being able to make it to school at all, end of quote. Copies of this letter went to every York Region member. I wonder if my Liberal colleagues from the region are worried that some young people cannot now go to school at all. I wonder if the Minister of Education is worried. Maybe she should speak to her colleague, the Minister of Labour, and ask her to do something to help students get back to school. The union and the contractors will not reach an agreement. York Region will not get involved, leaving negotiations up to the contractors. Only the province can bring the strike to an end. All we are asking is that the government give the same support and consideration to the transit users of York Region that it did for the transit users in Ontario. Thank you.
Thanks very much to Julia and Frank, and we're available for questions.
Are there any questions?
Okay, I'll bite. Have you had any interest from either of the two parties? You realize that you're up against two parties that may not find this idea favorable.
We haven't solicited interest from those parties at this point because we haven't discussed this with the other parties to this point. Today is the first revelation, if I may use that word, of the fact that we're going to do this. And frankly, I decided to take this route at an early juncture. I don't really like the idea that members like us get one chance to debate a private member's bill in the course of any given year, and that in the very first day where we're debating private members' business, I have to throw mine away because parties won't come to the table. It doesn't matter which parties, okay, both parties. There's no negotiation whatsoever. There's really no picketing. I think they were out for one day. There's no action on the part of York Region. There's certainly no action on the part of the Ontario government, which at the 5-week mark, and we're at the 5-week mark, should be involved. So I'm using the private members process as the only avenue that's available to us to raise the level of this debate and hopefully get some people on side. I specifically named my colleagues in the other York Region ridings represented by Liberal members and cited the fact that private members' business allows for a free vote. It shouldn't be a whipped vote. It should be a free vote. So I'm hoping between the 37 people we've got and whoever else is in the House that we can have a majority and pass this. And I'd like to get it speedily through third reading so that it actually takes the form of law. If it doesn't, I hope it serves as a good kick at the Liberal Labour Minister to do something from the government perspective because, folks, we have 9 days left before we break for Christmas. It sounds strange because we just got back, but the fact of the matter is this legislature will be here for 9 more days, and then it will be gone until the end of February.
If you wanted to end this strike, wouldn't it make more sense, though, to have a simpler bill by adding on the portion that says that they can never walk out again, never have a strike again, lockout? Doesn't that complicate the bill? If you want to end this particular strike, why not go with a sort of a streamlined bill? You're more likely to find people who agree with you.
It could, but we wanted to make a statement, and that statement is that York Region, and frankly other regions, but our issue is specifically York Region, is no different than the City of Toronto, 416, where Liberal government legislation came in last year, was debated, and with our support, I might add, passed, so that transit strikes are a thing of the past for the people of Toronto. Why wouldn't they be a thing of the past in York Region? That said, and without backing up in any form on what is in that bill, we're going to debate it. So if somebody thinks that that's a particular clause that's getting in the way, they're free to propose an amendment.
The Toronto situation is a little different, I think, in that Premier Dalton McGuinty said that he would wait until the local municipality asked him. If they did, he would respond. Have you made any attempts to get the local municipality to ask the government for this initiative? We've
been in touch with the local municipality, which in our case is a region. We've been in touch with the unions, and I might say they're represented here at this media availability today. We've been in touch with the employer, which is not York Region. In fact, it's several employers, and there are 5 contracts here, 3 of which are in contest right now. So it's a complicated situation. For us, there's one element to the end game. That's getting transit service back on the streets of York Region so that people can go to school, go to work, and generally do their business.
Thank you very much.